All right, Ken, not afraid. As a matter of fact, it's been a rough week for you. This little gray painty paint stuff has not worked out well for you. It's been a rocky, rough start to begin with. Now, this coming from a guy who claims he's been doing this for 12 years. He's an expert, and that he could design a gray screen that would annihilate everyone around him. He just didn't want to be in that space. But we're seeing that's not the case. What we're seeing is a hot, spotty mess. Just a hot, spotty mess. Not going so well for you. Not ALR. Doesn't work out in that little fake max out room. Meter max out. The meter max out that Dr. Meter, who makes your meter, says doesn't exist. Because you're slandering their product, saying it can't measure in that room. And it can. But no fear. As a matter of fact, Miss Bird, I'm open. I restocked on Monday, so I've got plenty of stock out there. Why don't you go out there and get you another cancellation? Why don't you? See, because that's why he's pissed, guys. He can't order. He hasn't been able to order. This is going on our 4th week of sales. And why he's so angry at Partey is because he can't get any more cancellations. And it makes him mad. He hadn't even come out and told you the truth about that. He'd try to act like he hasn't done it, but trust me, he's tried to get through. But he can't. And that's why he's upset. This is kind of a David and Goliath. You like to talk Bible stuff, which is funny to me because it's funny. You were smacking on Crow for having a half-naked lady out there, a picture of a lady on his website. And you claim you're having his account closed down. Yeah, we'll see. But isn't it ironic that he wants to go off about that, but yet we've caught him in his perviness in front of his monitor, right? Your monitor. We've seen your content appetite and what you do slurring and spitting in front of that monitor. But like the David and Goliath story, which you should be familiar with, you've made yourself a Goliath in your mind. No real Goliath, no real fear. Nobody fears you from anything. There's no fear from you from a product standpoint, and definitely no fear from you physically. And I say that, people, because he's come out and stated that he would kick people in the neck and that, he was a kung fu master and he'd take everybody out. Yet he can't. That's the reason I call you Pissant, Mr. Bird, because you're not that. You're not a kung fu master. I've always referred to you as a Dorito ninja because the only thing I've seen you annihilate is a bag of Doritos gumming them to death. But in the David and Goliath story, you and even some cohorts of yours that worked with you in the past always tried to use that you're new out here. You don't know anything. You're too new. You don't know anything. They laughed at David. When David walked out there with his little self, but everybody stopped laughing whenever David smacked Goliath in the middle of the head with a rock. And I've just thrown a few pebbles your way. And you've come to realize that Partey is somebody you will never be able to take down. Ever. That's why I'm fearless, Ken. When you design a product that does exactly what you want it to do, you can't take my product out. But then I look at you personally. You can't take me out. You don't have the intelligence. You don't have the stamina. You don't have anything that brings me fear. So not afraid, Ken. Selling and fearless, because this thing of yours is never going to happen. And like I said, the only thing that's going to happen is if you do release this, I expect to see a lot of reviews. A lot of reviews. And a lot of reviews against Network 773. A lot of reviews against other house paints. That's what I expect to see. That's what I intend to see. And this little gray painty paint thing that you think you're going to dominate, you don't dominate the black screen market. You don't. Product-wise, you can't even come close. So you're certainly not going to dominate in the gray, because your little secret sauce won't work for you. See, the secret of his sauce is that you need a very dark to black screen, and the darker you can get that screen, the better. Why? Because in those bright environments that he rigs up and jacks up the light on his camera, you have to have a black screen to keep the ISO from washing the actual screen color out. So he can't do it with a gray screen. It doesn't work as well. Looks all messy, looks all blotchy. And then on top of that, now Silent always does a great job whenever he's breaking down the technical components and showing people that you actually do make adjustments. You do, quote unquote, calibrate your projector, even though you tell people it's nonsense and shenanigans. But that's not what really catches my attention. My attention instantly goes to, look at the texture on that screen. You see that? Looks like stucco, doesn't it? That's what it looks like. Stucco. And it's even got you probably want to take it to the doctor and have it looked at, because it looks like it could have a cancerous wart right down here. In C. Parte products, they just don't do that, Ken. They don't leave stucco texture, and they sure as hell do not leave screen warts. So, not a good start. I'm sure you can try to convince yourself that you the man, you got it. But not a good start. And in the end, here's the thing. You've claimed that you could take my product down, Ken. I gave you the opportunity to do it in a manner where there wouldn't be suspicion on either side. You don't do it in your house. Once again, I don't do it in my house. But we would send our products and have somebody professionally review them and tell us what they think. But you ran. Yes, you did. See, you're trying to say that you didn't run, but you have ran. You've not offered your product up to be reviewed because you know you can't. That's it. If somebody saw this stuff and gave you an actual review, you know as well as I do what they're going to say. And it ain't going to be run out and buy it. It's going to be run away from it. So everything to do with you seems to revolve around running. Call you the running man. You know, Ken, you did this display, which kind of confuses me, because I look at this and I know from the picture that you're setting in maybe 40 lux max, maybe, probably more around the 30 mark. But when I look, because you can tell, look at the house. Okay, so he wants you to see that white blob behind the tree that his phone is overexposing. All right. But if you look at the rest of the house, you have no reflection coming off that house whatsoever. It's dark. It's not just dim. It's dark outside. Ken, you can see the lights in your kitchen are far brighter than anything that's going on outside. So more tricks, more gimmickry. Trying to tell people, look, I'm doing daylight projection. No, you're not. You're doing twilight projection, which is what drive-ins did on white screens and still do to this day. Think about it. You go to a drive-in, they start at twilight. They don't wait till it gets extremely dark. And that's what you're doing with a gray screen. And it's just not that good. I mean, it's not been a good week for you. I know you try to keep telling yourself that. And you're back to talking about the exotics. Every time that you get yourself painted into a corner where things just aren't working for you, that's always your go-to. Let me bring out the blue screen, the green screen, the red screen. Nobody cares about that crap. Nobody. You don't see mass purchases of those screens out there. Nobody cares. It's just always your default go back to your comfort area. Because this little gray painty paint thing of yours, it's not working. It didn't work back when you tried it before. Return of the Supreme 8. The Supreme 8 didn't make it the first time around. And there's a damn good reason for that. It wasn't worth a crap. It didn't make it and you had to move on. It's not going to make it the second time around. It won't even last as long the second time around, guaranteed. And the irony of this is that in 2 weeks, I'm going to be releasing Sirius A, our first black screen. Now, the irony of that is that you've went back and started trying to do gray screens. And the problem is that you can't compete at that level, and you will never compete with Sirius A, because I'm going to give consumers the best black screen they've ever seen in their lives. And you will never be able to touch it with that cheap little Lambertian crap you got. So continue with your multiple demonstrations per day in desperation trying to sell this. And Partey just comes out, says our little statements, and remains the king. As promised, I'm going to be making another application video for you, Ken. And I'm going to use your commentary just so folks out here can see just how ignorant you are. It's going to be fun. You guys take care.